good evening, ladies and gentlemen, all our friends, associates, network all around the world, and good afternoon, some part of the world actually at this time as well. For those who are in the Caribbean, in under the EST time as well, good afternoon to you all our friends in Africa. Good afternoon, good evening to you as well, and welcome to another session of Etoile Europe Leadership Conversation, and we welcome you especially. I want to use this time to also just celebrate this platform as over the week, and I think the directors and all our coordinators were letting me know that our subscription has actually got to the first barrier of 100 people who have subscribed. I really want to appreciate those people who have already subscribed. Thank you so much for your consistency, for joining us week on to week and being part of this great conversation as well. Thank you so much. And for all who are joining tonight and all the people you're invited tonight, we want you also to subscribe and click on the notification bell as well and be part of this journey with us as we journey along on discussing the issue of leadership around the world. It's a conversation that every one of us need to be part of as well. As we said earlier in the year, we said leadership determines everything. Everything, the quality of our lives, the quality of our nations, our communities, our family, is determined by the quality of the leadership that is innate as well. And that is why we're back again every Monday night, 9 p.m. UK time. And we continue our conversation on leadership in Africa. By the way, we started this as a special edition, for the leadership election and activity going on, especially in the country of Nigeria, West Africa. And we're using it as a template to actually address the leadership issue in Africa. The Secretary of State of the United States said this. He said, look, the elections in Nigeria is not just about Nigeria, but it's about all of us. It's about the world. Nigeria is one of the most populous countries in the world. Nigeria alone has over 200 million people with giftings, talents, resources, all kinds of resources, all over the place. And so it's a major player with oil and gold and whatever you call it. So it's a major player in the global market. So everybody's eyes is on what is going on there. But also, we use this to also look at what is going on all around our world, all around from East Africa to West Africa to Southern Africa. We see all the different things going on there, and we can see where leadership plays a major, major part. And that is why tonight as well, I've got a fantastic guest. You know him very well. He's one of our ambassadors, and especially, on the subject of leadership as well. He's an author. He's a coach, he's a leadership coach, he's a trainer, and his passion is around, building leaders, mentoring as well, and he has a passion for Africa as well. Please join me again to welcome Ambassador Yemi Akeshiwaju. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Ambassador Yemi, please say something to the viewers today.
Thank you so much, Your Excellency. It's always a pleasure and a privilege to be with you. And to all our audience worldwide, thank you, thank you, thank you. I always say that the greatest gift you can give anyone really is the gift of your time.
Wow.
And so the fact that, you have chosen to invest your time with us is such a privilege that we don't take for granted. And we're certainly hoping that as you invest that time, you will get a worthy return on that investment of time. Through the ideas and insights that we share with you. Hopefully they will trigger or stimulate something in your own thinking that will help propel you forward, even in those leadership conversations you're having within your own context. And tonight, I'm looking forward to our conversation. As you rightly pointed out, Nigeria is a phenomenal country with tremendous potential.
Yes.
And I think that when you look at the way our world is right now, we're really on the cusp of a major transformation. And if our leaders in Nigeria can get it right, I think we are in a tremendous position to leapfrog many other challenges that we've had in the past to enter into a new dimension of world leadership, really, as a nation.
That's right.
So I'm excited about what we'll be discussing tonight.
Thank you so much. Thank you. So that's a profound statement about time. You remember many years back, Dr. Miles would say, Your life is measured in time, in hours, in days, in weeks, in months as well. So anytime they say happy birthday, hey, don't jubilate too much. Just check out, what did I do with that?
What did I do?
Waste it. Did
Absolutely.
I waste it? Everybody might be having the jollof rice, but you're thinking this 40 years, what is inside it as
Yep,
well? So you better
indeed.
have some impact. That's just by the way, anyway. Now, Ambassador Yemi, today our focus, as we decided, is on decision making. And why decision making? Because we're looking at all around Africa and we're thinking different things happening. The good, the bad, the ugly is there. And we're thinking, how did we end up like this? And for some, I went to, and I think I shared this with you sometimes long ago. I was in the country of Rwanda. I went to Rwanda, and my thought about Rwanda many years back before I went there was totally different. And I got to the place and I was shocked. And I'm thinking, how did you go from here to here? And the only thing they could tell me is, we invest in one thing. They don't have a lot of natural resources, but they said we have leadership. And that made sense to me. The same picture I'm getting also when you go to the UAE. I said, how did you go from this mud, this dust, and to all this light? And they said, the key thing we invest in there is leadership. Then leadership must be doing something. And we found out that leadership, are decision makers. There are not so many of them, but they make decisions that affect destinies of nations, of people, of organizations, of institutions, of countries. They do things today that will, and if you don't think about it very well, I don't know where we're going to end up. And this is what I want you to, okay, let's have a conversation around this. And I really want to encourage all our friends, our network associates who are joining in tonight as well, to please also share with us your thoughts and put in some comments on online as well. And we'll also look at it on what is this thing, because whatever, Dr. Miles, okay, let me leave Dr. Miles for now. Okay. With Dr. Miles, you always have to look at the terms, define the terms, understand the term, because if you don't understand the term, you can't even use it. And I think sometimes leaders get into positions of leadership, or we do things that we don't even understand. So of course we're going to have a bad experience with it. So what actually is this making? Every day making one decision. Some people made a decision to spend their time here tonight. So what is this thing that is called decision making? So that at least a few of us can start, repenting, around it. Thank you. So I'll leave it on your court. I might just add a few comments to it.
That's a pretty profound question. And it really does lie at the heart of many of the issues and challenges that our nations face, that our families face, our communities face, our businesses face. Decisions, quality decisions. Now, the way I like to think about decisions really is that it's a product of a number of things. One is a product of vision.
Whoa, okay.
It's also a product of your paradigm, as in your worldview.
Yes, the worldview.
It is also a product of humility.
Yeah.
And I think when you look at those three key elements, you begin to see why we have some of the challenges that we have in Africa particularly.
That's true.
One, what vision underlies the decisions that we make? Oftentimes, some of our leaders, like many of our leaders, make decisions that are so short-sighted, either because they're based on personal gratification or short-term acclaim for having undertaken a project, without thinking about the long-term vision and the benefit for the people. And the context of those decisions plays out over and over and over again. And so, for instance, you find out that, an example, you think about what's happening in Congo.
Right.
In Congo, a lot of the cobalt and minerals that are used for producing the Tesla cars in the United States and around the world comes from Congo.
God.
Those nations in the West enjoy the benefits.
That's true.
But Congo, you have 8-year-olds, 9-year-olds working in the hot sun from the early morning to late evening,
My God.
digging with crude elements to mine these minerals that are used in the West. And yet, the West will pontificate about environmental and social justice and governance. And yet, they do all of these, ignoring the context within which all of these minerals are being mined. So you have to ask the question, what is happening with the thinking of our leaders in a nation like Congo?
Yes. Yes.
So that tells you that the vision that they have for their people is so suboptimal that they're willing to cause even the most vulnerable in their community to have to endure this kind of life.
Do you think they even have any vision?
Nigeria.
Do they have any vision at all?
That exactly lies at the heart of the problem. And so when I hear decisions that are being made, oftentimes people complain about the symptom, which is the final outcome of the decision. But we fail to look back to say, okay, what underpins this decision? What vision do they actually have for the community? What vision do they have for the nation? Because the vision that they have will be the guiding beacon that underlies their decision.
That's right. Very correct.
So that's the first element. And so when I'm engaging with leaders or I'm having these sort of conversations, don't tell me about these wonderful projects that you're going to do, this contract that you're going to make, how you're going to get a loan from the IMF or the World Bank. The first thing I want to hear is, what is your vision for the people? Because out of that vision will flow some of the decisions you make, whether they are good quality decisions or awful quality decisions.
Let me quickly put something in your heart there. Somebody was sharing with me and said that the decision making is the act of choosing, of making a choice with the best outcome for others and themselves.
Absolutely.
And that just literally came out from exactly what you're saying, because people, if you try to make a decision, the outcome of that decision, have you weighed the pros and the cons of it?
Absolutely.
But why do leaders make such decisions without thinking? I mean, you said one of it really, that's lack of vision. When you lack vision, oh my God, then we're blind. We make decisions blindly. Oh my
Absolutely.
God. It literally just
one of the other challenges around that is this. See, the fact that I as a leader don't have a vision does not mean that nobody else has a vision. Yeah. So the other parties that I'm negotiating with have a vision for my life if I don't. And so when you're negotiating deals and you're going into all of these contracts, because we don't have a vision for our nation, because we don't have a vision that is beneficial for our communities, we invariably make decisions. We invariably enter into contracts. We invariably enter into arrangements that are suboptimal for our people. They are beneficial for the other parties of the negotiation because they have a clear agenda of what it is they want to accomplish for themselves, for their businesses, for their nations. But our leaders have forsaken having a true, clear, positive, beneficial vision for our people. And that really lies at the heart of the problems that we face. The second element that we mentioned is the fact that there's a lack of humility in the way in which we approach our decisions. It is always said that how do How do you make good decisions? How do you make good decisions? Experience. How do you gain experience? Bad decisions. Okay.
Whoa!
And that is the
So
challenge.
you just having an experiment with our lives there.
Precisely. So, certainly as an example in Nigeria, we've had decades of bad experience. And yet there's a certain lack of humility to look back at those poor decisions and say, look, we got it wrong. We are willing to humble ourselves and learn from the mistakes of the past.
So we need humble leaders who are willing to learn from the mistakes of the past. Some of our leaders are not even checking out the mistakes of the past. They just keep on making their own mistakes.
Absolutely.
They don't study. They don't read history. And if they read history, it's like maybe it's just a storybook and they just dump it, you know. And this takes me to really thoughts. I'm jumping on top of you here as well.
That's all right.
because I can see. Well, okay. Let me reframe this. Looking all from north to south, east to west. Let's take Africa. That's our focus.
Yep.
Are we saying consistently where we keep on producing this same kind of leaders, visionless, blind? Because this literally, the result is what is indicating that. So you can come to me that I have a vision, but the result is not showing to me that, because the kind of decision that's been taken is reflective of the fact that we actually have this issue that you're talking about.
Absolutely.
And the two of them. So the first one you said is vision. The second one is the lack of this humility as well.
Yep.
You know, what do you say?
I mean, I agree with you completely. The way I would explain this situation is the fact that our leaders have not invested in developing other leaders.
Oh my.
And because we have not invested in developing other leaders, the collective pool from which we are drawing leaders for the present and the future is just as dysfunctional as the poor quality of leaders that we've endured in the past. And that, in a way, is why I feel that conversations like these are essential. And people like, and organizations like ITWLA are essential for where we're at right now. Because we really need to embrace this mandate of developing new breed of quality leaders that will have a new paradigm. I mean, one of the third elements that I mentioned earlier was the paradigm from which we approach leadership, a new way of thinking. African leaders, we need to come to a place where we think for ourselves about decisions that are beneficial for our people. We can't just
say that again. Say it again. Say it, because I don't know where
we need to think for ourselves about decisions that are beneficial for
our people.
Absolutely. You know, I think the days of just going headlong into making decisions because some intellectual from the West or somebody from the university in the United States comes and says, this is what you ought to do. Those days are over.
How do leaders make decisions to take an IMF loan? Please. I think that's part of what you're saying. You know,
absolutely.
And it's just crazy because when
you look at the fine print of these loans that they take, you have to ask yourself, it's either there's personal greed involved, there's certainly a lack of vision for the future of the people, or thirdly, they're complicit in wanting to destroy the future of the people. And
sometimes I struggle just to think that leaders would think that way, but that's actually
well, you see, somebody once said that when you have eliminated all probabilities, then the impossible is the solution that presents itself. So when you have explored all probabilities that, okay, it couldn't be this, it couldn't be that, it couldn't be this, then the final solution, no matter how palatable it is, has to be the answer that's staring you in the face. Because like I said, the logic of the decisions that they make, it defies logic.
It does. Okay, for example, I think I mentioned this on a program last week or 2 weeks ago. I said, how can a nation, for example, in Zimbabwe, we had this confusion that started out, and this is now another country fighting another one over the deposit of lithium that is owned by Zimbabwe that's been sold out for some silly money to another country, and the other country sold it to another one, and those two were having all these issues right there in Zimbabwe.
Yep.
Knowing fully well now we're in a world whereby everything is going electric, and lithium is part of the foundation of the resources to building that. How do you do that? In Nigeria, for example, we sell out all our cocoa products and we make no chocolates.
Indeed.
How do you get? I was listening to a professor, economics professor, who said no nation develops by selling raw materials.
Indeed.
And we have become countries that master in just selling out all our raw materials and produce nothing.
Yep.
And these are leadership decisions.
Absolutely. Now, it's interesting you say that, because remember something we mentioned earlier, which is that the paradigm from which we approach our decisions. And that paradigm, I believe, is a collective paradigm that we have within our nations. Because the truth of the matter is that there's something called the butterfly effect. The butterfly effect says that, look, a butterfly, flaps its wings in Brazil as an example, and it creates a hurricane in Accra, Ghana. Okay?
You got to explain that to the viewers, okay?
Yeah. Exactly. The idea is that seemingly inconsequential decisions that are taken, in one part of the world has a ripple effect, okay, that goes around the world.
Right.
So, which means that the decisions that you and I make individually within our contexts. So take, for instance, let's say Nigeria as an example. Yes. The truth of the matter is that Nigeria is the sum total of the individual and collective decisions we have made as a people.
I hope Nigeria has made a good decision right now. I don't know what is going on. Well, I hope the decision they've made is going to be a beneficial one.
Exactly. So as an example, we decide as individuals who we're going to vote for. That individual decision collectively arrives at who becomes our president.
That's right.
So those individual decisions collectively becomes who becomes the governors of states, who becomes the senator. And so those individual decisions, when you disaggregate them, have an impact, which when I think about it, you think, oh, it's inconsequential, it's just me making a decision. But no, it all adds up. Which brings us back to the fact that you and I, we need to begin to raise new leaders who have a different paradigm of approach, knowing that no decision that we make as leaders at whatever level is inconsequential. You see?
Ambassador Yemi, let me, we got a few minutes more. We need to deal with this. So tell me, how do we address this issue in raising leaders who will be able to make some quality decisions, starting even from our families, our communities, our organizations, to our countries and nation. And I think we need to begin to look at some solutions. I might have to bring you back next week. But give us some pointers.
Couple of things. One, we need to engage more with our young people. Help them change their paradigm. Because the truth of the matter is this: transformation begins with conversations. So we need to be having these high impact conversations with our young people at various levels. And we cannot afford the luxury of thinking that our young people are too young to have these conversations. And I know in the UK, you go to primary schools, secondary schools, now some of the materials that they teach them in primary schools, secondary schools, okay, are such that you would never have thought those kind of materials would be taught in primary schools. So if they
It's
can
true.
have those kind of conversations with them in primary schools, we better get our skates on and begin to have leadership conversations with pupils in our primary school, pupils in our secondary school, people in our universities. We need to embrace the philosophy of saturating the conversations in our cities, in our nations, with leadership conversations that raise the quality of thinking. Because the quality of thinking that we bring to play in the lives of our children, in the lives of the young people, it is said that the curriculum of today becomes the government policy of tomorrow.
That's right. Thank you.
So if we're having conversations with our young people right now, high impact conversations that helps reorientate their thinking, I believe that we begin to change the quality of pool from which we draw leaders for today and tomorrow.
Having high impact conversations with our
Absolutely.
younger ones from now, as early as possible, will begin to create a different paradigm. We begin to change the level of thinking. My God, that is a deep work. That is work for everyone, every family, every father, every mother, because it won't just suddenly change.
Nope.
You know, it won't just. We need to go back right to the root. And this is work. This is serious work, because I'm telling you, I don't see a whole lot of our leadership space suddenly changing if we don't go back right to the foundation. And this is what you're saying. We need to saturate our cities, our media ways with leadership conversation. You know, begin to ask questions like, just like what you said, creating this sense of vision, of purpose in people. Because when you begin to, I'm trying to wrap what all the things you've been teaching us to, or you've been saying to us today. When you begin to have a sense of purpose, it begins to affect your decision making, thinking, because you say, this is why I'm doing this. This is what I want to do. So in order for me to do this, I will have to do this. So you make a decision. I want to go to medical school. So therefore, I will have to read medical books, move around with medical students, think, do things that will keep me in that place.
Vision determines your options. Vision determines your alternatives. Vision determines your choices.
My God. Vision determines your choices. Vision determines your decision. Let me read a comment there. Our education curriculum in Africa needs to be tinkered with. We study to pass exam. Oh my God! And not to solve. We study to pass exam and not solve problems. Say something in that. I
love that comment. But let me just build on that and say that we don't need to tinker with it. We need to obliterate it and rebuild it completely.
Mr. Akeoluwadare, did you hear that? We need to obliterate it. We need to remove it
and rebuild it completely. We need a curriculum that is fit for purpose in the 21st century, Africa. It is said that there is no point in developing people or building a people for a world that no longer exists. We need to be thinking about what kind of Africa do we want for the 21st century, not building a curriculum for 20th century Africa.
So literally, we need to
the kind of things that go into those conversations will be completely different. The things that go into the curriculum will be completely different.
So we're saying we need to totally go back and revamp our education system.
Absolutely. I mean, as an example,
yes,
when you look at TikTok is very famous around the world, but most people don't understand this, that the content that you get in TikTok in China, where TikTok originates, is completely different from the content you get in Nigeria and Africa.
So I discovered that different standard for us and different standard for them.
And so you look at TikTok in Nigeria, it's all about dancing, it's all about BB Niger, it's about entertainment. And yet TikTok in China is about educating, raising the value of their thinking, raising the quality of the education, using it as a tool for equipping their populace for becoming better and taking over the world.
Ambassador Yemi, I'm going to pause here today because of our time, but I want you to say that statement again that you said before, that African leaders need to begin to think think for us, think for ourselves, solution for ourselves. Yeah, repeat it again, please. Say it
What
again
African
as the
leaders
closing statement.
we need to think for ourselves. We need to make decisions for the Africa that we have a vision for the future.
That benefits Africa,
That benefits Africa, that benefits our people.
I think that's just the closing statement for tonight of friends and associates and all the people who are going to watch this broadcast later. We need African leaders who will begin to think and vision for Africa that we want in order to make quality decisions. We're going to pause here tonight, and I think this is much deeper than what we told, and we're going to continue from here next week, Monday, same channel, same time, 9 p.m. UK time. And I want to say a big thank you to all associates, all the people that logged in today, and all the people that are going to watch this broadcast. You have a role in this. The decisions you make as well, the decisions we make collectively as well, decides what happens to our continent. Etoile Europe is the one bringing this to you again. Let me show you a few things about what Etoile is about again. And I would love to say thank you again one more time. Thank you, Ambassador Yemi. Thank you so much. Listen to this, friends.
Hi, my name is Miles Monroe Jr., and I'm the chairman of the board for the International Third World Leaders Association. Our organization was birthed to respond to and address the critical need for quality, effective leadership development and training in the emerging developing nations.
Our vision is to establish a global network of leaders from every discipline,
committed to the highest standards of excellence in leadership training, personal development,
mutual accountability, and fraternal support, implementing relevant and innovative leadership philosophy based on time-tested precepts, principles, and values.
Our mission is to influence the destiny of developing third world nations through leadership training,
personal development, supportive relationships, and global networking.
Our purpose is to provide transformational solutions
in response to the dynamic leadership needs of the emerging third world developing nations.
Our goal is to cultivate leadership commitment
to produce leaders
dedicated to the empowerment of their people,
the progressive well-being of their citizens,
and the betterment of their nation.
The strategic approach captured in the slogan coined by our founder, Dr. Miles Monroe,
was transforming followers into leaders and leaders into agents of change. Our focus is national development through transformational leadership,
transforming nations, communities from the inside out.
Join us in ushering in this new era of our organization.
We are tasked with carrying this vision forward,
and we are devoted to ensuring that we leave an unwavering legacy.
The organization that produces effective leaders
with global reach and influence.